Now, the police officer who forcefully arrested a nurse for refusing to draw blood from a sedated patient was just fired. Now, he was fired because of footage of a July 26th incident that showed the on-duty nurse at University Hospital in Salt Lake City forcibly being handcuffed and dragged into a police car after she refused to let the cop draw blood from an unconscious patient without the patient's consent. So this is Alex Wubbles. She was the nurse, and she said, "Hey man, look, I'm just giving you hospital policy. We don't do that without a warrant. You don't have a warrant, so we can't exercise that search." Now, I want to show you some footage of Wubbles getting arrested by Officer Jeff Payne. Let's take a look.
Brad, I'm just putting on speaker so you can. So, I have this. It says obtaining blood samples for police enforcement from patients suspected to be under the influence. Okay, this was something that you guys agreed to with this hospital. The three things that allow us to do that are if you have an electronic warrant, patient consent, or patient under arrest, and neither of those things. The patient can't consent. He's told me repeatedly that he doesn't have a warrant, and the patient is not under arrest. So I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do. That's all.
He's the one that has told me no.
Yeah, but sir, you're making a huge mistake right now. Like you're making a huge mistake because you're threatening a person.
Okay.
Oh, please.
No, we're done. No, we're done. You're arrested.
Hey.
We're done.
Sir, I had administrative.
Seriously. Hey. Hey. Hey.
You're assaulting me! Stop! Stop! I've done nothing wrong!
I have administrative.
I'll hold your phone.
I've done nothing wrong! Take my phone!
Okay, so look, that's enough. That's hard to watch. But as you can see, that was insane. All she was doing is saying, "Look, you don't have a warrant. I'm doing my job. I'm trying to protect patient confidentiality." And he's like, "That's enough. I'm going to arrest you anyway." Now, after that footage came out, the officer, Jeff Payne, who did the arrest, and his supervisor were both put on leave. Now, according to a department spokesperson, Sergeant Brandon Shearer, Detective Jeff Payne, following that footage and being put on leave, has now finally been fired. Not only that, but Detective Payne's superior supervisor, Lieutenant James Tracy, who was all at the scene, was demoted to the rank of officer. Now, I'm going to read you a disciplinary letter obtained by the Associated Press from the Salt Lake City Police Chief Mike Brown. Now, he wrote that Detective Payne's behavior was inappropriate, unreasonable, unwarranted, discourteous, disrespectful, and had caused significant disrepute to the department. In the letter addressed to Payne, Brown says, quote, "You've demonstrated extremely poor professional judgment, especially for an officer of 27 years of experience, which calls into question your ability to effectively serve the public and the department." According to the Associated Press, in a similar letter to Tracy, Chief Brown described a lack of judgment and leadership on Tracy's part as evidenced by his order to detain nurse Alex Wubbles without understanding the entire situation. As a result, Chief Brown wrote, "I no longer believe that you can retain a leadership position in the department." So, now, this is great because we actually have a little bit of justice. Now, it was very clear that the nurse was doing her job and the police officer was abusing his authority. This is open and shut, okay? Now, I do want to bring up, even though there's justice in this case, there's a lot of injustice in many other cases, mainly when this type of confrontation happens with people of color. Now, that's something we've been warning about, right? That when it comes to people of color, the police have been out of control, and we actually need to do something about it. Well, now it happens to a white girl, and hey, look at that, we have justice. Now, I'm not putting anything in the nurse. I think she was doing exactly what she should have been doing, and it actually turned out in her favor, which is great. I'm glad that she, did not get charged with any crimes, and, and that there's actually justice in this case. But, again, in a lot of other cases, when it's not somebody who's white, when it's a person of color, well, there is no justice in these cases. Now, this is, of course, a huge problem inside the police department, not just in Salt Lake City, but in different police outfits all over the country, where you have that endemic racism, and that, of course, leads to police overreaction and to police brutality, like you've seen. And yes, we do have justice in this case, but we need to start getting justice in holding police accountable in a lot of these other cases as well. And not only that, but I think we have to change the training. Okay, we've got to start doing better police training so that they don't go to overreaction, so they don't immediately go to violence, so they can actually de-escalate the situation before things get bad. But in this, again, this is just a pure abuse of power case, and it was evidently clear, and it was only natural and perfectly reasonable that the police officer be fired, and that his supervisor also be demoted. I would have taken him being fired too, because again, he did nothing to stop that situation, which he clearly should have, but at least there was some sort of justice today. And now the other important thing is that it shows that, look, while this mainly happens to people of color, this is also starting to spill over into affecting white people. That should get people, and it's really sad that it has to come to that point, but that should get some white people to say, hey, you know what? Maybe this is a real problem. Maybe we need to actually do something about it. Again, it's super sad that it takes that for other people to understand, but if it results in sort of positive change in policing, then I guess I'll take it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.